欢迎，你属于这里。
Willkommen, du gehörst hierher.
Croeso, rydych chi'n perthyn yma.
Maligayang pagdating, nabibilang ka dito.
Benvenuti, voi appartenete qui.
Herzlich willkommen, hier gehörst du hin.
Swagat, ye आपका घर है.
Shalom, atamusman.
환영해, 너는 여기에 속해요.
Manauna te tungaswan na reo.
Carlos Ilfate, Anikete Edo.
Hello, you are welcome here. That is what you've just heard in many different languages sent in by various members of our CU. That was a part of our weekly CU challenge, which we do each week for Unite. So stay tuned for another one coming out this weekend, which you can get involved in. My name's Dan, and I will be your host for this evening. So if this is your first time joining us, you are so welcome, and we're so glad that you could tune in with us this evening. To start off Unite, one of the things that we like to do is to share testimonies of what God is doing in our lives and in the lives of those around us while we're in lockdown and at home. So I'm going to hand over to Jess now, who's going to share a few of those.
Hey everyone! So as Dan said, I'm now going to be sharing a few testimonies that you guys have sent in. So firstly, someone's friend's dad has been healed from coronavirus, and they have another friend whose parents are getting better. This is such an encouragement, especially in a time where it feels like so often all we're hearing is bad news. Also, someone else had a really great conversation with a Christian friend, and it made them feel as though we aren't in lockdown anymore. This is such a great reminder to check in on your friends, see how they're doing, and spend time with them, and the value in this. Speaking of spending time together, last Saturday we had our murder mystery evening, and we had about 95 people attend, with the ratio of Christians to non-Christians being about 50-50, which is so amazing. Of course, this shows God's incredible faithfulness, and that his plans for our lives are even better than we could ever imagine. But it also shows how great you guys are, for getting behind this and inviting your friends. This can be such a hard time to share with your friends about Jesus, but socials are such a great way to invite your friends, and they're such an easy invite, and people don't have much of a reason to say no. So thank you all for getting involved and getting behind it. God is still so present in this time, and he's working in and through each of us. Please keep sending in your testimonies. We'd love to hear and share what God is doing in your lives with each other. Now we're going to head over to have a time of worship led by Esther.
Hi guys, I hope you've had a good week. So now we're going to start our worship. I just want to encourage you to worship wherever you are. And let's just praise this amazing God that we have. And before we start, I'd like to share Colossians 3 verse 16. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly, as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss! The Father turned his face away, has wounds which mar the chosen one, bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon the cross, my sin upon his shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there, sounds in deepest waters. Sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you never failed and you won't start now. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul rests in your embrace. For I am yours and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul rests in your embrace. For I am yours and you are mine.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this time of worship that we've been able to have this evening. I pray that as we continue unite, that we can keep you at the focus and that we can all take away something from the encouraging talk. Amen. So now I'm going to hand back over to Dan, who's going to continue the rest of Unite.
Thank you, Esther, so much for leading us in worship there. Now we're going to hear from a few teams that are involved in the running of Unite each week. They're going to say a little bit about what they do and how you can get involved.
Yeah, Father, we just ask that you would make this prayer team everything you want it to be. Let it grow and let it flourish and make it a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Amen.
Amen. Oh, we didn't mean to record this prayer meeting, did we? Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think so, but...
Yeah, never mind. Hello, I'm Joe.
I'm Ria, and we are the C's prayer coordinators.
Yeah, and part of that means that we're looking to build a prayer team who are going to support everything that CU does in prayer. So that's every event, every evening like this. Just have a prayer team behind it, making sure that God's invited to the occasion and that we can just have His full presence with us as we go about His work. And if you want to become part of the prayer team, because we really want you, you just message me or Ria, and we'll talk to you.
And we would love to pray for you. So during Unite, there is a live prayer button. If you just click that, you'll be taken into a chat with one of us, and we would love to pray. Big or small, our God is so good and faithful to answer prayers. So please click it during Unite. But we should go back to praying, Joan.
Yep, sure.
Hi, my name is Becky, and I'm going to tell you a bit about getting involved with visuals at CU. Visuals is an important part of Unite, as it enables us to be united every week in song worship and allows preachers to better communicate what God has to say to us in the Bible. Doing visuals involves getting correct lyrics for songs and ensuring that for any notices or talks that we have the correct presentations to go with them. There's no need to be already familiar with any of this, and if you want to help out, all you need is a willingness to learn. To sign up, you can join our Facebook group, Suku Visuals Team, or send me a message. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Becca and I'm Worship Coordinator this year, and we'd love you to join the worship team. Whether you've had loads of experience playing in church or in bands, or you've never played in a group before, we'd love to have you. You'll be put on the rota about once a term, but there's also BPM rotas and any other musical events throughout the year. We're also going to do some socials. There'll be one coming up at the end of this term, but I'll keep you updated on that. We've had rap battles in the past. If anyone wants to challenge us melody instruments for the title, feel free. But yeah, we'd just love to have you involved, so message me if you have any questions. I'm just going to give you a little taste of the kind of things we get up to.
If you play an instrument or if you love to sing, come and join this lovely bunch in worship to our King. We have lots of fun, playing together is the dream. So if this sounds right up your street, join the worship team. So if this sounds right up your street, join the worship team.
Hi, I'm Hannah and I'm this year's Hospitality Coordinator. Hospitality is a great way to get involved in CU and meet new people. As part of hospitality, you'll be a friendly face for people as they come to Unite on a Friday, welcoming people in and handing out sweets. It's not a big commitment. You only need to turn up 30 minutes early on a Friday to Unite, and you'll only be on the rota about once a month. You can also get involved in some events such as Freshers Week, the Christmas Carol service, Events Week and lunchtime talks. It's a lot of fun and we'd love you to be part of the welcome team.
Hello everyone, I'm Daryl.
And I'm Josh.
Greetings from the sound team. It's so nice to see you all again.
We'd love to talk to you guys briefly about what the sound team does.
That's right. As the name suggests, we take charge of anything that has to do with sound in the CU.
This includes manning the sound systems for Unite and at any events that the CU is hosting. You'll mostly see us running around like headless chickens. We will be setting up the equipment for the CU events beforehand to ensure a good quality audio experience for all.
Just like the CU vision, we want people to hear the good news of Jesus Christ in all we do. Well, except in our case, it's a bit more literal.
Joining the sound team may sound like a lot of effort, but by joining the sound team, you will learn a lot about teamwork and getting to know a variety of people.
That's right. We're a diverse team with many students from many different backgrounds. So the sound team welcomes anyone who has a heart to help, even if you do not have any experience in dealing with sound systems.
The willingness to learn is our most sought out characteristic. So if you want to get involved, we strongly encourage you to sign up.
And that's all from the sound team. We hope to hear from you all soon.
God bless.
Would you be interested in learning how to video edit or design graphics for CU? If so, come and join the publicity team. We aim to promote CU and CU events so that our friends and others can come to know God for themselves. In these current times, we are producing more content than normal, and so we need your help. If you are interested or have any questions, feel free to send me a message or come and join our Facebook group. Hope to see you soon.
As you can tell, we've got lots of teams involved in Unite. Some of these teams are really active at the minute, such as the publicity and prayer team, whereas other teams will be looking to get up and running again in September, such as the sound team and welcome team. So please be having a think and pray about whether it's right for you to join any of these teams, We will also be hearing from other teams involved in CU and various outreach and things that we put on throughout the week. So we'll be hearing from them in next week's Unite. So now we move on to our talk for this evening. This is going to be carrying on our theme of warrior to warrior, where we look at various characters in the Old Testament. This evening we're going to be looking at a story of Esther. We're fortunate enough to have Nay Dawson come and speak for us. Nay works for IFES and UCCF. She also helped produce Uncover Mark, so we're really blessed to have her come and speak with us this evening. So I'm going to hand over to her now.
Hi, my name's Nay. I live in Southampton. I wonder how you've been finding lockdown. For me, it's been quite an up and down experience. There's the joy of spending so much time with my small family. I've got a daughter, 2 daughters, and a husband. We've got a lovely paddling pool. We've got some new fake turf outside. It's really warm. But there's been some real downs. One of my closest friends, a mum from school, died only a few weeks ago. And that's been really hard as a community to work out how to grieve collectively in this time. As I was invited to speak on Esther, I was delighted. At the start of lockdown, I had separate conversations with about 8 friends, and each of them mentioned the character of Esther being really important and significant during lockdown. So I think this is a book that we really need to listen to, both men and women. What can God teach us during this lockdown about Esther? So let's dive in. I hope you've had a chance to read the book or listen to it or watch an overview online. Esther has all the ingredients of a fairy tale and often gets treated like one, part Cinderella, part Beauty and the Beast. A beautiful maiden comes out of obscurity to win the king's heart and become his bride. The king then falls under the spell of an evil villain, but is freed by the courageous resourcefulness of his enchanting queen as he bends to her wise influence. Perhaps it's our longing for the happily ever after in our own stories that leave us clinging to fairy tale interpretations of the Bible. But Esther's story wasn't a fairy tale. It was in reality much closer to a nightmare. Even the most lavish and seemingly harmful scenes have a chilling aura of wickedness and oppression. The curtain lifts at the most powerful man in the world, Persia's King Xerxes, whose expansive kingdom stretched over 127 provinces, from India to Sudan. He loved throwing grandiose banquets. There was one you can read about in Esther of a 6-month banquet for his top brass officials, where he could show off all of his wealth and all of his possessions. A second one we read about is a lavish 7-day banquet, followed in the palace gardens for all the men in Susa. Both these banquets were spectacles of the glories of his kingdom, the extravagant affairs his guests would talk about for the rest of their lives. No one witnessing such staggering exhibits of wealth, power, and luxury would have been in doubt of Xerxes' might and authority. The world belonged to Xerxes. And life can be terrifying under the rule of such a man. The danger posed to the people of the Persian Empire proved very real and threatening to a beautiful young Jewish orphan girl named Hadassah. She lived under the protection of Mordecai, who adopted her as his daughter. We know this young Jewish exile by her Persian name, Esther. Hadassah was the first part of Esther that got lost. Esther lived in Persia, the city of Susa, somewhere in southwest Iran. Her parents were exiled when the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Jerusalem in 586 BC. She was among the Jewish people who chose to remain in Persia instead of returning to their native soil. And this book, Esther, gives the history behind the Jewish feast of Purim. This feast tells the story of God's unrelenting faithfulness to his people who remained outside the land of Palestine. Within these large objectives, the book centres more narrowly on one young Jewish girl and God's call upon her life. During one such banquet, we read in Esther the king summoned the queen to parade herself like a beauty pageant contestant before a room full of drunken dignitaries. This command violated social decorum for any self-respecting Persian woman. And Queen Vashti, consequently, she was banished from his presence forever. Surely the next queen will think twice before daring to go against the king. Esther enters the story 4 years later. When the king's thoughts turn to Vashti with regret, his aides suggest that he round up the most beautiful virgins in the empire to choose a successor for the deposed queen. This segment in the story is appalling. Young teenage girls becoming helpless slaves to a king. Once brought to the palace, their sole mission in life was to give pleasure to the king, to please his eye, to satisfy him in bed, and to expand his impressive collection of possessions for others to admire. Esther entered a year-long beauty treatment before serving up the king, who rated each girl's performance and decided their fate. The potential for rejection and degradation is difficult to fathom. Warned by Mordecai, she concealed her Jewish identity. She managed to elude detection and won high marks from everyone inside the palace. When the time came for her one-night stand with the king, she delighted the king more than all the other virgins. She won his heart and walked away with Vashti's crown. Esther was beautiful and pleasing, and she was losing her way. In all her beauty, she was being lulled to sleep. For the next 5 years, she was the perfect woman, fairest in the land. She complied with all the wishes of her husband and king. But this fragile arrangement was bound to collapse, and it did, in a single day. But instead of destroying Esther's life or getting her into trouble, the crisis shook her awake and proved to be the making of her. You see, through Esther's failings, we see God's heart for flawed people, and we find hope for ourselves. Esther was a compromiser. She didn't display the same passionate loyalty to God or to his people that others did. Instead, she hid her Jewish name, she concealed her identity, and she morphed into the surrounding culture. Had she followed in the footsteps of her brothers in the faith, she would have switched the timing of her famous paragraph, "If I perish, I perish" speech, to an earlier point in the story. But she was deeply flawed, and the forces behind her choices were complex. God chose her anyway, flaws and all, for his purposes. If we're looking for perfection, we would bypass Esther and Mordecai, maybe even Daniel and Joseph. Certainly God would not be choosing any of us. But Esther's story restores us and restores our hope that God has important purposes for us all, no matter who we are or how many bad choices we make. The story moves on. The conflict between Mordecai and Haman continues. The two men embody the age-old struggle between God's people and their enemies. Haman raised the stake in chapter 3 by plotting genocide against Jewish people throughout the empire. Esther, a Jew, a hidden Jew, had her world turned upside down. A voiceless Esther must find her voice and speak out against the atrocities planned against her people, the Jewish people. This young woman, who had never had to think for herself, take a stand or fight a battle, must stand up to the most powerful man on earth, a man whose strongest political enemies trembled in his presence. Esther must act alone. You see, the queen couldn't simply enter the king's presence. Anyone uninvited was put to death. At this point, Esther shows incredible courage. She asks Mordecai to go and gather all the Jews in Susa and fast for her. She then says, "I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." The story continues, you can read more for yourself. Esther is granted a hearing from the king, and in the most incredible turn of events, we read this. The king's edict granted the Jews in every city the right to assemble and protect themselves, to destroy, kill, and annihilate the armed men of any nationality or province who might attack them and their women and their children, and to plunder the property of their enemies. The Jewish people were saved through a woman that was a compromiser, but through a woman who had great courage. And in the whole book of Esther, many people often ask why God isn't even mentioned. But in the hiddenness of God, we see that he is completely in control. Read through Esther again and marvel at all the times when God is in control of each and every situation, where he places Esther, why he gives the king a dream, why he presents him with a book at a certain time. Find those places for yourself and marvel at them. And tonight I'd love to encourage you, as one that might be convicted that you too, like me, are compromisers, that we turn to the Lord and repent tonight. But also I'd like to encourage you to be ones that are full of courage, ones that stand up, ones that have a voice, ones that speak out against the injustices that you see, but also ones that have a voice that speak for the goodness and truth and beauty of our God to our friends that so desperately need to hear about him. And maybe tonight we need to come before him together and ask him to show us again how he is in control.
Thank you, Nay, so much for sharing with us this evening. And now this coming week, we've got all our usual events on. So we've got BPM to iCafe to hall groups to Question a Christian and Back to Unite. So for all the details of those and the Zoom logins, please go to our Facebook group to find those. And as I mentioned earlier, please use this time now before we go into Zoom groups to sign up to any of the teams that I've just shared. So you can sign up through either the sort of comment section, the pop-up will come, or in the sort of description to this video on Facebook. So now this is the time where we go and join Zoom groups. So the way this works is we all go and join Zoom. We will get split off into breakout groups where we spend a bit of time discussing sort of a few questions about the talk, time for praying for each other. And then what normally happens is we come back into a big group together and play some form of game. And it's honestly so much fun. It's definitely one of the highlights of my week. So if you haven't joined before, I really encourage you to do so. And if it is your first time and you'd like to be in a breakout room with someone you know, please message Josh Zoo and he can arrange that for you. Thanks everyone, and hope to see you shortly in the Zoom breakout groups.
your right hand are pleasures forevermore. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. In your presence there is fullness of